All right, Eamon, well, Happy New Year to you. Thanks again for having us in 2012. Just to recap over the Christmas period, what was your biggest surprise or biggest shock result over the 2 weeks?
There were a lot of shock results. I suppose the biggest shock would have been Blackburn beating Manchester United at Old Trafford. I think they were 24-1 or something. It was a crazy result, crazy match. And then Manchester United losing heavily away to Newcastle on Wednesday night. That was a very big shock. Chelsea lost at home 3-1 to Aston Villa, which was a major shock. There were a lot of shock results. Arsenal drew at home with Wolves. It was a dangerous time to be betting. As I said before Christmas, it would be. The Premier League at the moment is crazy. Some of the results are very unpredictable indeed. Manchester City also lost at Sunderland over the Christmas period, another very big shock.
Yeah.
So it's been a very difficult time for people betting on football, and it's not going to get any easier this week because it's the FA Cup. We don't know whether after the heavy Christmas programme the top teams will play their best side, except in one match. I think Manchester United and Manchester City play on Sunday in the FA Cup. There'll be a lot of pride at stake there, so I would say they will play their best teams, but some of the other top clubs may not.
Okay. And similarly then, what was the highlight over the Christmas for you?
Well, if you weren't a Manchester United fan, the highlight was Alex Ferguson suffering a bit. He dropped Wayne Rooney, it seemed to me, for not very much at all, fined him a week's wages, which in Rooney's case is 250,000 for going out to dinner, which is a pretty expensive dinner.
Yeah.
So I think that was really extraordinary.
Yeah.
Chelsea have a crisis now with their manager under severe pressure. So it's a very, very difficult time to bet.
And then looking forward to the FA Cup then this season, who's the team to watch, do you think, and similarly, who are the players to watch?
Well, the FA Cup used to be a very prestigious trophy to win, but that's a long time ago. In 2002, Manchester United didn't even enter it. They went and played in the World Club Championship game instead. So I think the big clubs are interested in winning it, but as something of a consolation prize, if they're not going to win anything else. For example, Manchester City's priority this year will be the Premier League. I don't think they'll be too bothered about the FA Cup, but it may matter a lot to someone like Liverpool, who are struggling in a transitional period, and they want something, and they want a trophy to show. It would be important for Chelsea, say. So it's a kind of consolation prize, but the big clubs are concerned, first of all, winning the Premier League. Secondly, their priority is finishing top four in the Premier League and qualifying for the Champions League. Both of those things come way ahead of the FA Cup. I wouldn't be too pushed about betting in the FA Cup, because you just don't know how seriously the big clubs are going to take it.
So like the perils come with it then, basically, the unpredictability.
I would say on cup weekends, don't have a bet. As it progresses, there'll be league games. There's plenty of opportunities to bet without getting involved in the FA Cup, and there's absolutely no point in having a bet now as to who's going to win the FA Cup, because you really don't know who wants to win the FA Cup.
Yeah. And then in terms of the transfer window, what are your predictions?
My prediction would be that the big clubs tend not to go into the transfer market in that month, because the really top players aren't available. It's more bargain basement stuff than game changing stuff. So I don't think, for example, Alex Ferguson has got, has been plagued with injuries this year, and they need to plug a few holes. But Ferguson has said he won't go into the transfer market at that time. The reason, apart from anything else, is that with only 4 weeks to work in, the players you're going to get are going to be probably disgruntled where they are and overpriced. So there's a lot of, you could be tempted into panic buying. I wouldn't expect anything significant to happen in the transfer window. Even Kenny Dalglish has said he's not to push Luis Suarez as an 8-game ban, so he won't be available now for quite a long time. And Dalglish said he wouldn't go in for what he called a short-term fix by buying in the transfer window. So I don't think the transfer window, I don't think they're good as a general principle, and I think this particular one coming up, the January window, is a waste of time.
Really? And then in terms of the lending then, how do you feel that changes things?
Well, I think if you can get a player on loan, it can work sometimes. But again, it's a short-term fix. It's not for the really big clubs. It's for the clubs, you know, without resources. And there are lots of clubs that are financially in trouble these days. So a loan can work, especially if you get a player from a big club. Like the classic example is Adebayor, who Manchester City allowed to go on loan to Spurs, and he's done really well there this season. So that's an example of how the loan system works for Harry Redknapp, who doesn't have much money and has to take a player from a large squad. That's one good example of it.
And in terms of betting then, is it a gamble to kind of go with those on loan, or should we?
I would say you should take every match on its merits. This has been an incredible season. I've lost money this season gambling on soccer, and I would say almost everybody who's betting regularly on football, especially if they're doing accumulators. There's been 2 weekends recently where all the big teams won. But that's 2 out of a season in 9-10 months. I think that whole idea of doing short-priced teams like Chelsea against, say, Aston Villa, you're dead. Manchester City home to Blackburn, or 1-7, you're dead. Now, we talked about this last time you were here. Don't get involved in that kind of speculation. Well, it's dangerous. You only need to be wrong. It's like Russian roulette. You only need to be wrong once
to have
and you're dead. So I think for the moment there will be big matches in the next 3 months when the league is really hotting up, where I think there are good bets to be had. But at the moment, I would say caution and backing the 3 draws in doubles and trebles, 3 doubles and a treble, which we got up a couple of times now. I think that's the way to go, and I've got a good bet this week. I think that will pay maybe over 30 to 1 if we get it right, and if you get only 2 up, you get 9-10 to 1 to your stake. I think that's the way to go for now.
To be safe, but
safe than sorry. Well, the good thing about that bet is you don't have to lay out a lot of money to get a big return
on it.
And that's the smart way to play at the moment. There'll be loads of opportunities when the big matches come in the spring. And of course in the European Championships.
And then on that note, looking to the weekend and the following week ahead, what's your biggest bankers then to start us off with a win?
I think we should do 3 draws this week, which are picked out of the FA Cup. The first one is, they're all derbies. The first one is Birmingham and Wolves in the Cup. Now, there's an awful lot of local pride involved in the derby match, and it's particularly between Birmingham and Wolves, there'll be a lot of animosity there. Neither side will want to lose that match, and I think that will be a draw. So Birmingham Wolves is my first draw. The other involves 2 championship teams. Again, it's a Midlands derby. Notts Forest, Leicester. Leicester are a useful enough side. They spend a lot of money in the summer hoping to get promotion. That doesn't look on. I think Notts Forest and Leicester will be a draw. I think there's a very good chance it'll be a draw. The third one is a Sunday game. Manchester City at home to Manchester United.
Big one.
Big match in itself. But City are going to lose Yaya Toure and his brother Kaulo Toure to the African Cup of Nations. That will be a bit of a blow to them, even though they have a big squad. But Manchester United, on the back of 2 successive defeats, will be desperate to get a result there. Now, I think that's going to be a draw. I think there's a very good chance that will be a draw. Now, those 3 draws, if they come up, pay over 30 to 1. And if you do 3 doubles and a treble, I'd be reasonably confident that you'd collect on Monday morning.
Great. Well, listen, thanks a million again, and we'll see you from Skype next week.
Pleasure, and Happy New Year.
You too. Thanks.